It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
All right, Brian, this next question is from All Gillied Up. I don't know what that means.
You don't know what a ghillie suit is? That means he's either a private investigator, a hunter, or in the military. A ghillie suit is what you like lay out in a field, and you and I could go look. You learned so much from me.
The vat of trivial knowledge. We got to play trivia more. Just the vat of things that come out of there blows my mind.
Yeah, a ghillie suit is something like Braxton, our friend.
Yeah, all
Braxton will work cases, and he'll have to dress in a ghillie suit so he can surveil somebody, and so they can't see him out in the field.
Quick survey of the content team. Anyone else know that?
Hey, look at Nate.
Come on.
Did you know, TD? Okay.
From Call of Duty. There we go.
You know what? I'm actually putting real world. I'm putting them as soldiers, private investigators. No, they just play video games.
It's probably Call of Duty.
Okay, get into the question.
This is what I'll get it up says. What asset class or type of asset class should be held in a brokerage account, right? So here's the question, right? There are three different types of accounts we talk about you should try to save in. Your pre-tax accounts, like your 401ks and your IRAs, your traditional IRAs. Your tax-free accounts, like your Roth 401ks, Roth IRAs, HSAs. And then there's this after-tax bucket. Well, if all three of these accounts are taxed differently, it stands to reason that when it comes to building a portfolio, we should probably hold different types of things in different types of accounts. The question for you, Brian, is what do we hold in what type of account? And why do we do it that way?
Yeah, Gilly, it seems a little unfair to only give one, which is the brokerage account. So I'm going to kind of give you a really quick overview. And this is why we talk about in step 7 of the financial order of operations, when we get to that hyper saving, we're really thinking about the 3-bucket strategy. Because if you do this right, when you reach the age that you want to retire, if you have multiple buckets to pull from, you have your after-tax, you have your tax-deferred, like your 401ks, and then you have your tax-free, all of your Roth holdings, you can legally, hear me out on this, legally manipulate the tax code to retire on your terms. Yep. So let's talk about, based upon the different buckets, different tax structures, what do you try to get in these different holdings? Because tax location is so important when it comes to portfolio design. And this is also, I love index target retirement funds, but this is one of those points, once you reach a level of assets, I'm talking about $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 of assets, you're like, man, I love index target retirement funds. They got me here, but I think I'd have more complexity going on that I ought to at least maximize opportunities built into the tax code. And here's what those are. We'll first start with yours, Gilly, is that taxable accounts, brokerage accounts. These are things you first want to have your liquidity, your cash, so that you can play your mini Warren Buffett, where if you have an emergency come your way, you got it covered. If somebody is all of a sudden the market goes on sale by 30 or 40% and you want to go take advantage of that, with real estate or some other things that don't hold well in brokerage accounts, then you can go do that, have that opportunity and that liquidity in that after-tax account. But then let's talk about tax code. Dividends, tax favored. They're at a lower tax bracket than ordinary income, so qualified dividends are better. Long-term capital gains, meaning if you own investments over 12 months, the government lets you pay a lower income tax rate versus your ordinary income tax. That's tax favored. So you want to take advantage of putting those type of holdings there. So then let's pivot over to tax deferred. Those are your big 401ks, your 403bs, your traditional IRAs, your rollover IRAs, SEP IRAs, inherited IRAs. I feel like I just turned into Bubba Gump a little bit.
Yep, you're doing the little
but when you do the tax deferred accounts, realize anything you pull out of these accounts is going to be taxed at the higher ordinary income tax rate. Well, if they're already going to be taxed at that higher ordinary income tax rate, let's think about what are some of the investments that are going to generate ordinary income because they're not tax favored. Usually it's your boring or safe or perceived as safe bonds, because bonds pay out, and unless it's municipal bonds, because by the way, that's something I guess I could back up and say, hey, in the after tax, put your municipal bonds because they grow tax free. Yep. Well, and your traditional bonds can go into the tax deferred. It's not uncommon that you'll see some of your alternative strategies like the market neutral and those type of funds, anything that distributes out ordinary income. They'll go there. And then you'll pivot over to your tax-free account. Well, tax-free, man, that's just sexy because it knows, like if you take your the 21-year-old that's foregoing the beer to invest it. So when they retire at 66, it's $88. If you put it in the tax-free, that means $87 out of the $88 is completely growth. And if you put it in that account, it's tax-free. That really has a lot of sizzle to it. So I like putting assets in the Roth that have really good potential of growing, but you have to be careful because there is too much of a good thing.
I was about to say
because this is why people say, well, let's go put something super aggressive in there because I'm going to swing for the fences. There is a catch in the fact you don't get to take any deductions on the losses in your Roth account. So you want to make sure if you're investing in something with a growth bent to it, that it really is going to grow. This isn't where I want to put my dead speculative stuff. But definitely you want to maximize. And that does bring me back, and I'm jumping around because this is part of a Q&A show. That on the after-tax accounts, realize if you have losses, you can take $3,000 a year to offset your ordinary income. So that's why you could have some of those hyper-speculative things where you could take the losses could also be there. And remember, I think while we're talking about that, cryptocurrencies and things like that, they don't have wash sale rules. So that probably would be in the after-tax. But pay attention to those things. Did I cover everything or did I leave something off?
Nope, you left it. You said literally said everything.
Okay, good.
Gilly, I hope that was helpful. You covered it all. That was great.